Is Lewis Hamilton bigger than Ferrari? Was Horner kicked out of Red Bull purely because he was British? And is Antonelli overhyped? We find out all of this. Now, we talk about all of this.
We find out because our word is what? Worth more than gold or something? Worth more than Bitcoin at this stage. So yeah.
We find out because our word is worth more than Bitcoin. Welcome to the Blatantly Biased Racing Podcast.
Welcome to the Blatantly Biased Racing Podcast. Now here's a bald guy and some Indian.
How are you, man? I'll edit that better.
Yeah. We'll need to.
Yeah.
How are you? Pretty good.
Good,
How are you?
Good. Yeah, I mean...
Slow news week. Right?
Yeah. There's not much going... There's probably about as much in the
F1
news of F1 as there is in the news of Epstein files at the moment. So, yeah, I mean...
At least one of them is hoax. So.
Yeah.
Welcome, everybody. So we've got a few things in place. First of all, let's start with what's slowly becoming a bit of a... as I texted you, the girlies are fighting.
Didn't you call this repeatedly last year as well, that this was inevitably going to happen?
About to happen.
Yeah.
And it happened on probably one of the more innocuous comments that Gunther Steiner has made, where he said that, well, Lewis Hamilton might be one driver that is bigger than the team. Now, what he means by that, it can be a lot of things. I don't think even he delved too deep into it.
Yeah.
But yeah, it seemingly triggered a lot of people with a lot of different views. So let's let's find out, by the way, because we are the judge, jury, and final adjudicators when it comes to something like this.
The biggest thing I saw about this on Twitter that I kind of found funny was obviously La Gazette, was it? Or someone at a Ferrari fan page basically put up...
Zach Brown.
Okay.
Zach Brown.
Oh, his name is... But yeah, there was a couple of things that said no one is bigger than Ferrari, and then there was a lot of Lewis Hamilton fans fighting about it on Twitter as well. For me, it's okay, we need to first of all split this, because if we're talking about Ferrari, the brand, of course Lewis Hamilton is not bigger than it. There's absolutely no way to do that, because even millions of people who have no idea what Formula One is know what a Ferrari is, right? Ferrari is clearly bigger than Lewis Hamilton, and there's way more people who know what Ferrari is than know who Lewis Hamilton is, right? So if your argument is Lewis is bigger than Ferrari, and your weight behind that is...
What does it, by the way, what does it mean bigger?
This is the problem, isn't it? Because some people... I was going to say, if you're talking about Lewis versus the team, then we can have a more reasonable discussion, because say he's bigger than Ferrari... No. I'm saying, I'm not agreeing, I'm just saying we can have a more reasonable discussion, because saying he's bigger than Ferrari is just a ridiculous statement. It's just not true. It just isn't, right? There's no way to do that. But yeah, when it comes to bigger than the team, I've seen some people point out that he has more Instagram followers than the team. And that proves absolutely nothing as far as I'm concerned, because I believe that Justin Bieber has more Instagram followers than the Instagram of the President of the United States. So does that mean that Justin Bieber is bigger than the United States? This? Yeah, of course. Yeah, of course. Yeah. By that logic, I think Taylor Swift is the biggest, most powerful government in the world.
Or
I think
so. Selena Gomez.
It's one of the two. Who knows? Yeah. But yeah, my point is, Instagram followers is that depends. First of all, I think the Ferrari Instagram have more. They're pointing specific.
Lewis has 40.
Scuderia Ferrari.
Oh, okay. You're going to Ferrari.
I'm talking about actual Ferrari.
Ferrari might have more.
Ferrari have 31.7. So he's bigger than Ferrari in Instagram followers.
Yeah.
Which must mean he's bigger than Ferrari, right? Because that's the metric we're going by. Yeah, we're not. So if we're talking about Instagram, where he's above. If we're talking about, global knowledge of the person, the car company is awareness. Yeah, the company is obviously bigger. There's no way to argue Lewis Hamilton is known better around the world than the Ferrari brand. If you're talking about the Ferrari F1 team, you could make an argument for it. I doubt it, but you could. Probably not, though. In terms of finances, obviously both Ferrari and the Ferrari team earn more every year than Lewis Hamilton does, so they're bigger there.
And they pay him.
Yeah, exactly. like in terms of just like brand recognition, as you said, obviously Ferrari is far more widely known. Like we've just discussed that. I'm trying to think like what other things there are, but yeah, in terms of like
there are
income,
a lot of things. Let me get into it. First is legacy.
Go for it.
Second is achievements.
Yeah.
Third is basically when it comes to the kind of impact one of those two have had on the sport. Now again, Lewis has had a huge impact without a doubt. He's not had a Ferrari impact. He doesn't have a nation that basically comes and just follows him everywhere. And again, he has a lot of fans when it comes to Silverstone and everything. They don't hold a candle to the tifosi by no means. I mean, which was funny that a lot of people didn't really understand this thing. I look for me, and I even tweeted about it. I found the whole thing pretty much preposterous because there are literally you really can't compare an athlete to a team.
But he has
to a
more
company,
Instagram
to a
followers,
sport.
casual.
Yeah. I mean, if we are talking about decent IQ, unless our IQ is in just the single digits, then again we take a look at the Instagram followers. But if we move beyond that and talk about things from a more, you can say, logical
Just
perspective.
to point out as well, like Ferrari, if they wanted to tomorrow, as could I if I wanted to tomorrow, could have more followers than Lewis Hamilton, because you can just artificially go and pay for Instagram adverts, and within a few weeks you'll have Instagram followers. So it's not a real metric. It just doesn't, like, I just found it really funny that it's like, that's one of those grasping at straws metrics where I'm like, I got to find somewhere where he's like bigger in numbers. And it's like, oh, look, Instagram.
There was also this one, since 2007, Lewis has won 7 world titles and Ferrari hasn't won anything. But then in that case, since 2021, Max has won 4
Verstappen
titles,
is bigger
Lewis
than
hasn't won jack, so Max
Verstappen is bigger than Lewis now.
Yeah.
I think the only driver, I would say, there's like 2 drivers maybe that, and I will argue neither of them are. I would say Michael Schumacher had a shot, because I do remember like a time when Michael Schumacher and Ferrari were inextricably linked. And I think the only reason, like, I'm not trying to say that Michael Schumacher is more famous and better than Hamilton. What I'm saying is, I think that was a different time where you could say like anyone who knew Ferrari knew Schumacher, because all Ferrari ads and like all Ferrari stuff around that time included Schumacher. And we didn't have that much media. So everyone was watching the same ad on television. Like everyone was watching seeing the same posters. But now there's so much noise that like Ferrari have tons of ads for like that they'll show off some YouTuber who has a fucking collection of Ferraris. You know, there's Jay Leno's garage where he has some Ferraris on. Like there's plenty of stuff about Ferrari that has nothing to do with Lewis Hamilton. Whereas back in the day, it was like, what's our biggest asset at the moment? Well, Schumacher's winning constantly. So Schumacher's like, Ferrari wins. So they had him everywhere. Whereas at the moment, Lewis Hamilton isn't winning. So they're hiding him in the corner.
Yeah.
No, I'm joking on that one.
It's early 2000s, right? And that was when the Ferrari aura peaked, in my view. And it was entire. At the time, early 2000, I didn't really watch Formula 1. It was more 2004, 2005 when it started.
Yeah.
But
me and you both kind of really got into it that year.
Yeah. And even by the time I did, even before that, I knew the red car is Ferrari and the driver that is driving it is Michael Schumacher.
But even then, there was plenty of people then who knew what Ferrari was, like could spot a Ferrari car and had no idea who Schumacher was. So like, even if you go back then to when it was much easier for someone to be influential, which is why I would argue that like Michael Jordan back in the day was a huge icon.
He's probably one person that has actually eclipsed the sport.
But even then, that's
Nike,
only because the Nike partnership.
Air Jordans.
Yeah, so it's Nike Air Jordan plus the fact that so those Nike Air Jordans were seen around the world. Like that's a huge endorsement that was just everywhere that he owned a piece of. Like he got a percentage of each shoe.
Still does.
Yeah, exactly, because of his mother. I don't know if you saw the movie. It's brilliant. I read the Shoe Dog Phil Knight book as well. It's really interesting how the whole thing. Shoe Dog. It's Phil Knight who started Nike. It's his autobiography, and he talks about it as well. How it was like a gamble that everyone told him was stupid, and he just went.
In the movie, it's there, right?
It was one of his guys was pushing for it, and
Ben Affleck and Matt Damon.
That's the one. But yeah, like you could argue that he was, but again, I just think in this landscape, it's going to be very hard for anyone to be bigger than a brand like Ferrari or a sport, because there's just too much noise now. Like it's really hard for anyone to be that super famous anymore, I think, because it's not a situation where everyone is sitting down and watching the same shows or the same thing all the time, you know? So like when we are sitting down to watch the same thing, we're watching Formula One. We're not watching Lewis Hamilton. So Formula One is bigger, you know, obviously. That goes without saying. But yeah, I just...
There are people that don't think so, and
But also, I don't get why people need to have this. Like, it's really weird as well that you're like, you feel this inherent need to be like, oh, my guy has to be bigger than the sport. It's like, why? Like, what where does that come from? Like,
it's the same nonsense, by the way. It's the same nonsense we used to see from the Lewis Hamilton fans early in 2021, 22, when he was out of the fastest car and he wasn't really winning. And you had the whole nonsense with the jewelry gate and stuff. It was then when I used a lot of these comments of, he's basically carrying the media, carrying the sport right now. And now you see the same nonsense with the Verstappen fans.
The biggest argument against that, though, is like Lewis Hamilton isn't in the spotlight at all in the last while. Like, you know, he joined Ferrari, hasn't been in the spotlight, hasn't been talked about much this year at all. The sport's carrying on fine.
Look,
and
Lewis
Verstappen fans, by the way,
who think
spotlight
when it comes to the off-track stuff, he's been... But it's got nothing to do with the sport anymore, because he's not won much for a while. He's not. I think this is the longest streak where he's not been on the podium. Like it's been 15, 16 races. That's almost a season when he debuted. So it's not really been a...
But it's this thing of like, I don't know. It's just, I remember a lot of those same Lewis Hamilton fans being like, oh, when he's gone, like, you know, this sport will take a huge dive. I was like, nah, it won't. Like, that's just not how it works. In fairness, what happens is these guys get popular.
It'll take a dive in terms of the viewership and stuff. Of course it would. Yeah, I mean, that holds true.
I don't know.
Everyone.
I don't think so, because I think like people always say they're going to stop watching and then they don't. So I don't know. And the thing is...
But there's a specific class in terms of, you can say, who are just stans. They specifically follow him. And again, there are a lot of people that
But
do,
sure. But by the time that happens, you'll already have brought in a ton of new people for new drivers.
Yeah, of course.
It's like the whole thing of like,
that. It by the way, it might not if you
We're getting Verstappen fans, season. By the way, say the same thing right now about like, oh, if Max leaves, this sport's going to be in the... It's like... No, it's not. Like, no one's going to care, you know? Like, Max fans will leave. Who cares?
I think the person who everyone needs to keep an eye on when it comes to fame and everything is Kimi Antonelli. Because if that kid is as good as advertised, Italians are passionate.
Which we'll talk about in a while, yeah. But yeah.
Italians are passionate. There's actually this entire documentary by MotoGP, which is on Valentino Rossi. And his story is stunning because he was a brilliant, prodigious talent. And I think at 18 or 19 years of age, he joined MotoGP and started winning. He's from a very small place in Italy called Tavullia.
Yeah.
And basically from there, they built a Valentino Rossi fan club, which was nothing more than just a small pub that was there outside his home. And from there, the Valentino Rossi club grew into such a huge thing. It itself is worth millions right now. And they started selling merchandise and everything from there. And now he has an empire. And that's the kind of thing that the Italians tend to do because they are very passionate. If Kimi does end up being good and he ends up winning, oh boy.
Yeah. But even then, like, no matter how big Kimi gets, he's not going to be bigger than Ferrari. Like, that's just, you know.
Yeah.
It's just, I just, like, the thing is, it's like, okay, I don't know. And then it's hard to even say like, oh, is Lewis bigger than the Ferrari team? It's like, no, I don't think so. And I don't think there's any metric you say that by. But then the Ferrari team is just an icon for Ferrari anyway. Like, people don't separate the Ferrari team from the Ferrari brand because the Ferrari team was built to sell the Ferrari brand. So the two are like inextricably linked. So you have to really argue, is Lewis bigger than Ferrari? And again, no. Like,
you can say Lewis is bigger than Haas. Let's
Oh, well, Lewis is definitely bigger than Haas. Yeah. So, he can have that one. Yeah. He's bigger than Alpha Tauri or Visa Cash Out Racing Bulls.
Alpha Tauri maybe.
You know, he's bigger than Stake at the moment, but he's not bigger than Audi. You know, so like, it's just This is the thing. It's just to say he's bigger than Ferrari or Mercedes or any of these. It's like, no, because as you said, one, there's the case of like legacy, like those teams, those brands are iconic, and like every generation knows them. It's not just like, you know, people in their 20s and 30s who watch Formula One. It's like I could talk to a 90-year-old and say, do you know what Ferrari is? He'd be like, yeah, of course. Do you know what Mercedes is? Like, yeah, of course. Do you know who Lewis Hamilton is? It's going to be like, no. So, you know, I can talk to a 10-year-old. Do you know who Ferrari is? My daughter's 4. If I say, do you know what a Ferrari is? She'll say the red car. Like,
Exactly.
partly that's because of me, but my point is I know, well, that's obviously because of me. But there's, like, when I was growing up, I was 4 or 5 years of age. I could point out and name Ferraris, you know? I didn't know who Michael Schumacher was, mainly because he was in a fucking Benetton that wasn't winning when I was 4. But you know what I mean? It's like the brand is way bigger. And also, when Lewis Hamilton is gone, and I mean gone as in dead, like I mean way in the future, it's very likely that Ferrari and Mercedes will still be fucking selling cars. Although Mercedes might be selling really poor electric ones, but, you know, they'll still be selling cars. Yeah. So it's just, you know.
Obviously.
Yeah.
And again, you know, fans tend to have a very myopic view. I thought it was maybe a good topic to, you know, just start things off, because it's still gaining steam. For me, again, my view was very simple. You can't have, I think it was Baxter and Shahryar who also talked about it when they were on the pod, when this was something that was brought up. And again, my first reaction was that no driver who is known for being a racing driver is going to be bigger than the sport. And that's I think that's where it just ends.
That's what I was saying. And also the one thing they do bring up is the share price bump, right? Can I just to anyone wondering, right? Because yes, Lewis Hamilton being signed for Ferrari days before that earnings call was part of the reason why the earnings went up, right? Of course, it continued. But also was the fact that they had a really good quarter, a really strong quarter of sales and profits before that as well. So all of that brought up. But also, no, share prices, though, are literally just brought about by perception of the brand. So people read the numbers, and then you're hiring like a big name in a sport as well that you're heavily contested in. So it basically is Ferrari coming out and going, look, we've just sold lots of stuff and we're so confident we've just signed this megastar in Formula One. So then the investors go, oh shit, Ferrari's having a good time. Stocks go up. It's not that Lewis Hamilton's here and he's going to fix all the share problems. That's not how it works. Like it's basically investor confidence. And Ferrari just did this big thing and like big day of like, look, we just signed Hamilton, our stocks are up, you know, like look at all these YouTubers with our cars. And the investors went, things look good at the minute. Because the investors aren't basing everything on Formula One performance. Because if they were, Ferrari's stocks would be in the shitter for 15 years now. Yeah. So like, I don't know, it's just such a reach. Why do you need to have this reach, people? I don't get it. Like, it just, I'm Verstappen fans. You're just as bad right now, so don't start laughing at Hamilton fans.
Yeah. Honestly, it's the same nonsense. As I said, it's the same cycle that is going on. Now, just wait for a while. They'll start shitting on Red Bull, unless Max extends the contract with them, and then just wait for a while. They'll be a bit. Unless Max again goes on a winning streak, you'll start seeing them shitting on the driver who's winning. There will be talks about how Max can win in the 10th fastest car and stuff like that. Again, entire bullshit.
If Piastri wins the championship this year and then next year Piastri is leading the championship, right? And it's like McLaren do well, it'll be just the same thing of, he's just a fucking car merchant, you know, he's not that good and all this stuff. And then what'll happen is you'll have Piastri fans who'll be fun and interesting for about a season, and then they will become the exact same because this is just the loop over and over again.
It's the same cycle.
These fans just get really irritating of like, Piastri could win in the 7th fastest car, no problem. He makes all the day. It's like, oh Christ, here we go. Like, you know, just every single time.
Maybe the Lando Norris fans become better once they hit puberty, but who knows?
That's true, yeah. They could grow up, yeah.
Anyways, moving on. Talk about Lewis. There's one thing I think a lot of people are talking about. Let's talk about the rookies in Formula One.
No, hold on. There's something before this.
Okay, go for it.
You pointed out in a text to me, which I was intrigued by where it came from. Was Horner fired because he was British? What's this about?
Yeah. Okay, so there are a couple of reports. I'm not entirely sure if they're accurate because one of them is from The Sun.
Oh, well. Yeah.
Because, again, it's basically the British version of F1 Insider and honestly the Telegraph as well right now, because everyone is doing their own PR. the journalism is dead. The honest journalism.
Can I
is
just
dead.
point out, the Sun has never been journalism anyway. Like there was no point in which the Sun was journalism.
Yeah.
And as soon as the Sun got rid of page 3, it basically became a useless piece of paper that people wiped their arses with.
Yeah.
Other than, it's useless.
I mean, Piers Morgan worked there, so you can tell the standards.
I was going to say, doesn't Clarkson still write for them, or is that someone else? Is it the Sun, is it?
Yeah, he does.
Yeah. I love Clarkson, but yeah, it is. Even he would
I
trash
love
the Sun.
Clarkson, but I know he's not contemporary, so I take him with whatever grain of salts when it comes to it. But yeah.
He writes for the Sunday Times. Oh, and the Sun.
And the Sun, yeah, he does.
Oh, okay, right. Well, the Sunday Times at least is reasonable.
I've covered a few of his stuff, anyways, for the website.
But yeah, so what
the
did they say?
report states there are a few things that actually came out. So first is that, again, this is something that came out last season as well. It was from Jonathan McAvoy of Daily Mail. Again, not a great, yeah, exactly. But Jonathan, just like Ralph Bach is close to Helmut Marko and Eric Van Haren is close to
Jos Verstappen, yeah.
So just like that, you have Jonathan McAvoy who's close to Christian Horner. By the way, I'm basically pulling the third curtain off, and when I'm telling you all these things, guys.
Mm-hmm.
So don't tell anyone. Yeah. So what? It's basically Horner's view that is coming out now. So according to the whole report, the first thing that came out is there was this thing that with the Austrian brand winning a lot of the fame and the accolades and the credit was starting to go to a British guy.
Yeah, because it's a British team. I mean,
apparently they don't want it to be recognized as a British team, and they felt that it was time to push him out and slowly, which is probably a weird thing. They replaced.
But isn't Mickey as Italian?
An Italian guy. That is exactly what my point. And again, according to the report, whatever I've read a bit of it, which I could through the paywall, it seems that he's a makeshift guy. They'll put someone else in place.
Yeah, I don't think it's going to last long. Yeah.
But the aim is to make the team Austrian and then start winning, because that's how usually, sports teams work. That's one thing. The second thing is...
It would be really funny if they branded it like we're a proper Austrian team now, and then they don't win in 10 years. So you're like, oh, you were much better when you were British. So... And I say this as an Irish guy who would much prefer the British to lose, by the way.
Yeah.
But yeah.
I mean, yeah. And an Indian guy, because I'm not going to cheer for them in any which way. And the second thing was the entire situation at Red Bull Racing right now, the Milton Keynes. So apparently what happened is, a day after the whole saga happened, you had Helmut Marko who gave his own speech, and he was trying to simmer the temperature of the entire room. Whatever stuff he said, it didn't really go well. Mark Metashitz was also there, and he said some stuff which didn't really go well. And apparently a lot of people in Red Bull, the Red Bull staff and everyone, they are looking at maybe it's time to go, because a lot of them were Horner loyalists. And this is something that has actually come out from a lot of other reports as well. And they're looking at options. And if something happens, a lot of them have reached out to Horner just to confirm what his plans are. And
I spoke to a couple of engineers in Red Bull like over the last week.
He's not going anywhere as such.
Well, I spoke to a couple who basically...
the morale is very, very low right now.
Yeah. I spoke to a couple who basically said like they're expecting this to be kind of one of those nightmare roundabouts for the next couple of years where they're just not really sure who's in charge while everything gets figured out. And they were like, so yeah, definitely looking at where Horner goes next. And they're like, if that doesn't work out, probably look at a couple of other teams around, because he's like, I don't really want to sit here with a roundabout of different bosses coming in every 4 weeks. Like, that was from one of them. He's kind of jokey about it, but he was obviously being a bit like, this is what happens. Like, yeah. So
the concern is also with the future of the team, because a lot of people from the other facility in Milton Keynes, which is the VCARB thing, they've also been doing the rounds, and things are not really certain when it comes. The thing is, the entire efficiency of how the operation used to run, the certainty is gone. because everything happened all of a sudden. Apparently, Horner wasn't even aware that he was going to be fired,
Yeah.
which is a bit weird because you had an inkling that this was going to happen. And if this, I don't know, let's see what happens with them. But again, I think we all expected it. Things are probably going to go in a slightly downward turn for Red Bull, at least for a while.
You got to imagine like Vache is going to be removed soon, and then they'll
100%.
replace him with Egginton, and basically the other engineer said to me, essentially, he was like, "Look, I'll put it this way," or something along the lines of, "I'll put it this way. It's really easy to find a job in F1 when you're a top team's high up engineer, like when you're decently."
Vache was approached by Ferrari.
Well, no, this isn't one of these. This is like he's in the aero department, but he's not like a top known guy, but he's in the aero department. And he was like, this guy I was talking to basically said like it's easier for him to find a job at the moment in other teams because he's a Red Bull engineer, and Red Bull over the last few years have obviously built brilliant cars. And he was like, if I was a Haas engineer, it would be a lot harder for me to find a job in a different team, because I've got no proof or no track record behind it. And he was like, I don't really want to stick around until I'm building Hasses, like that was kind of alluding to that's where so it sounds like a lot of people in there are like, this is going to be a downward trend for a while now. Like, so I don't know whether that's like they actually think that or whether they are just kind of full belief in Horner that, no one else can lead it.
The suddenness in the way that everything has happened. Because look, if they would have come out and said that Horner was leaving in next 6 months or something, then you could have said the whole.
Isn't it just like Mekies and the movement just seems very like. Just grab the next guy in line. Like there's not, we're not going to assess this or anything. Just grab the next guy. That's why I do believe the reports that there was a meeting in Austria with Max and Jos and was it Mark Mazashitz, Oliver Mintzlaff and
Oliver Mintzlaff and Raymond Vermeulen,
Max's manager. That basically all sat together, and basically after that meeting, it was like, right, we're doing it, which. Again, goes back to what I said last week. If that makes me think that the Max to Mercedes thing is going to be gone for at least for 2026. But I guess we'll see.
You're of the opinion that Max is not going to Mercedes. I'm of the opinion that he is, because I don't. Again, my opinion comes from one very simple fact. Okay, let's talk about this just then
really quickly though, because we talked about it in detail last week, so let's not go crazy. We did 2 main podcasts on this. So.
Exactly. Yeah, we've basically milked it as much as
we've killed a dead horse. It's like, don't you mean beat a dead horse? Why would you beat a dead horse? Why would you kill a dead horse? Anyway, sorry. Go on. Dilbert joke.
Yeah.
Anyway,
okay. So when it comes, why I think he's. Again, my assumption is he's the smart one. That is my assumption, but that's how I tend to, take calls on these things. So in my view, look, if he's not going to Mercedes this season, it means one very clear thing, that he's not going to Mercedes, at least for the foreseeable future. Because Toto has spent at least a couple of seasons in negotiations and basically making his primary driver look bad. In public,
I don't
while he's having these negotiations. And if at this time Max says no, the doors to Mercedes are closed. That's one thing. Second thing, I think by now, unless he's foolish, he should not be thinking that Red Bull is going to turn things around in the next 5 months. If his first view was that they are in deep shit, no Formula 1 team basically works as instant noodles where you just do something and everything is fine. Everything takes time. I hope he's smart enough to know that. And the third thing is, look, at some point of time, you have to be very careful about one thing. If the rumors are true and if the Mercedes engine is good enough, he leaves that opportunity and Mercedes starts dominating, then for the next 3 or 4 years, he's basically toiling somewhere similar to what he's been doing at Red Bull in the last 6 months.
Way worse.
Probably worse.
Way worse.
And that's
because it will mean there's at least four drivers who have a much faster car ahead of him.
Yeah, at least. And you don't know what the Williams or the Aston does.
Yeah. So as well,
it's and that's why I think when you take all these things into consideration, I think if he's smart, he's probably moving.
I just think personally that the Red Bull GmbH, like in terms of just being a company, the way it's set up, the way it's structured and so on, I just think that if it wasn't to do with keeping Max, then as I said last time, the timing just doesn't make sense. Now, I do admit I'm giving the board a lot of credit there that they're competent. But which they clearly aren't, given what they did.
What we come down to is, I'm thinking that Max is smart enough. You're thinking that the board is smart enough.
Yeah. So we're gonna see.
One of them is foolish.
One of them, yeah. It's just to me, it's like the speed at which it was done and the speed at which everything was changed. There's no need to do that, and you don't do that as a reaction, unless it's like okay, we had this meeting in Austria. Maybe Max didn't talk about Horner. Maybe Max was like, I want, these guarantees for 2026, these guarantees for 2026, etc. And Jos was like, oh, and I want Horner gone. And they were like, fine.
Imagine, yeah.
Yeah, and Helmut as well, probably. Because for me, it's like Helmut has kind of doubled down on he's staying for 2026. That's another inkling for me. All of that tells me that Max has said, right, you've been good to me, so I'll give you one more season, right? Now, that might turn out to be the dumbest decision you can make. And to be honest, if it is, he has Jos to blame for that, essentially, and Helmut Marko to blame for that, because he's basically given them his full trust, right? So
pretty much.
But that's what it seems like to me, because I just think in any other scenario, if the board has just gotten sick of Horner, there was no need to do it mid-season, and the last thing you want to do is do it before a regulation change. And if it is because Max is leaving that they've decided as a reaction to go, right, Max is gone, so Horner's gone as well, again, you don't need to do it straight away. You have time to fill the board in, fill investors in, back everything up slowly and surely, and kind of put your things. And you say Horner's gone at the end of 2026. You could fire him right now and go, you're gone at the end of 2026, which would also mean that they could enforce 12 months gardening leave for all of 2026 as well. So firing him now is actually good for Horner in a way and doesn't do you any favors. So again, I could be wrong, and it could be that this is the dumbest board since Ferrari, and maybe it is. But it just seems to me like the only reason you
worse, waits till the end of the season.
This is Alpine levels of stupidity. This is really bad.
This is Alpine firing Otmar.
Yeah. So this is for me, it's just, I'm giving them the benefit of the doubt that there was some logic behind this. I'm not saying it was good logic. I'm just saying there was some logic behind it, that you were like, okay, in the short term, and again, we've talked about this before, boards think very short term. Keeping Max around in the short term is better for us than keeping Horner around. It ruins our entire future, but in the next 6 months, it's good for us, So that seems like a very bored decision of Max will stay. That's good for us for the next 6 months. We'll figure it out after that. Ponzi scheme thinking. So
there's one devil's advocate, I'll say. Actually not devil's advocate either. I think they just wanted to get rid of Horner as soon as they had an opportunity. And if that is the case, they just saw the opportunity and they went for it. And they're like, once he's gone, we'll figure everything out afterwards. Maybe.
Maybe. I don't know. I can't see any other reason why it would have been done at that time. And also straight away afterwards, Helmut Marko talking about how he's sticking around for 2026, because that seems odd to me.
You've probably not seen it. He does a weekly Speed Week column.
No.
And there's zero mention of Horner. Zero.
Yeah.
Which he basically did it, I think, 3 days after the whole thing happened. There was mention of Mekies and how he's going to take over and stuff. There was zero mention of Horner.
But this is my point. Helmut sticking around for 2026. Again, there are much better candidates than Helmut to do that job right now. And
what job is he doing, by the way?
Exactly. So there's you could. But my point is, a rusty birdcage would run that better than he is. So
he's not even running anything.
He's not doing anything. He's useless.
No one knows.
But he's the head of the driver development program still. Technically,
which is doing brilliant, right?
Yeah. It's going real fucking well.
Yeah.
He should really keep both eyes on the prize with that one. But if that's my call. I just think that's my reasoning. But we'll see. I guarantee you we'll go to publish this podcast, and as I publish, it'll be like Max to Mercedes confirmed, and the entire comment thread will just be like bald guys. Right. Yeah, it'll be like bald guys an idiot. So yeah.
Cool. Now let's move to the rookies.
The rookies, yes.
These rookies, yeah. So a lot of people. Let's start first of all. The reason why I wanted to talk about it because a lot of people are starting to have some very divergent views. There are a few rookies that have caught the eye and stuff. I thought let's just talk about it because we've really touched on them. They hardly catch the eye. So we'll just break it down into what's good about them, what the first 12 races, how they've been, what hasn't, and what do we see in terms of what's the future, what's the prospects, where do you think they end up? So first, let's start with the obvious one. Let's start with Kimi Antonelli because
You love him.
I've seen a lot of people have a very, very weird view in terms of a lot of people are saying that he's having a shitty season. Some are saying that he's not. Some are saying that he's been a bit disappointing in terms of what kind of expectations were set from him. Where do you stand on it?
I think a lot of people think he's having a shitty season because they massively underestimate how good George Russell is. That's my genuine view on that. Of like, people just assume George Russell isn't that good. So they're like, oh, if this guy's the next Verstappen, he should be smashing George Russell. And you're like, no.
Max is not going to smash George.
Yeah. Like, it's just
Hate to
no.
break it to you guys, he's not going to smash
If
George.
Max, if Max does go, please put him alongside George. It's
Yeah,
not because I'm a
exactly.
George fan. It's just because it would just be cinema to watch. Because on track, off track, it would be just incredible to watch. You know,
While you say that, and while I tend to agree that it's not going to be a one-sided thing, I've just been following the MotoGP season this season, and oh boy, Marc Marquez, who's basically, you can say, the Max Verstappen of MotoGP, he's
MotoGP,
moved to Ducati and he's teamed up with Pecco Bagnaia, who basically has won 2 of the last 3 world championships, and he smashed him. And by smashed him, I mean there have been only one race in what it's been, I think, 12 races where Pecco Bagnaia has won, and he
Yeah.
won it because Mark fell off
right? Okay, yeah.
out of the 12 races, and he's basically been made to look Yuki Tsunoda compared to Max Verstappen. That's what he's done.
Yeah, but yeah, look, it wouldn't. It would just be.
But
It
again,
would be pure cinema, though,
Bike
right?
racing is a bit different in that case.
Yeah. But it would be pure cinema to watch the two of them as teammates. Like, it would be just incredibly entertaining. Are you going to tell me Max has just joined with Mercedes now? No.
I saw a tweet and it's nothing. Yeah.
Okay.
Nothing
But
that
yeah, I don't think it's going to happen. But yeah, getting back to Kimi Antonelli, no, I think he's having a reasonably good season. I just think it's like, I think this is one of those issues, isn't it? And it was the same with like Piastri when Piastri came in, of like, Piastri was in a midfield car the first season. The team was struggling a little bit. Obviously, he's up against Lando Norris, who was brilliant, but also embedded in the team. Like, again, people bash Lando, but Lando's an incredibly quick racing driver. So you have him come in, and the expectations are, oh, this is the next Lewis Hamilton, or this is the next Verstappen. So if they don't come in and absolutely dominate and do wild things with the car, it's seen as a shit season. But if we're putting it in terms of just like how good is the season, I think he's having a good season. He's not making mistakes. He's not crashing, but he's not beating George. And I think the expectation that he was going to beat George is just too much anyway, especially in his first season. Like, it was just never going to happen. You know, like, George is very, very quick. Remember that George, when he was joining, was supposed to be the replacement for Hamilton, right? And this is the replacement for Hamilton when Hamilton was like winning championships, not when he was tumbling about and pretending that if he had a qualified better, he would have done better. Like, this is back when he was good. So, like, you know, George was that guy then, the same way Piastri was hyped to come in and that Kimi was hyped to come in. I know they're different levels of hype, but I just think expecting him to be there. If we look at his actual stats as well, he's doing similarly to like what other people have done coming into their teams as well, I think. Like, I think it was Lando and Sainz, like, comparing those. He's basically done what Lando has done against Sainz. So I just think it's a case of...
Lando out-qualified Sainz in his very first season. How old was Lando when he debuted?
20, I think, right? 19 or 20. I can find out. I'll find out right now.
He came in
2019 he debuted. He's 25 now, so 19.
Yeah.
He was born in 1999, so November of 1999. So he would have been 20 in that November, so 19 when he actually debuted, yeah.
So can we say that Norris had a more impressive rookie season than Kimi Antonelli?
Not yet. I mean, we will by the end of it. But yeah, I guess for qualifying, you can say so. In terms of points scored, at the moment, they're pretty much on par in terms of points scored.
Norris, I mean, remember there
I
was
mean,
this
percentage
race
of
in
points
Spa.
scored between them. Like,
I know what you mean.
yeah.
Plus, Kimi is 18. There's just a year difference, which is
But
not much, honestly.
I also think like the step up to Formula One is difficult because like we're talking
I
about
think
rookie
it's also
seasons,
the ground effect cars.
that as well. But like I saw a few people, by the way, who were bashing Kimi, I think, as Verstappen fans who are Verstappen fans and don't seem to understand when Verstappen started. Because I saw people going, yeah, but sure, Max won a race in his rookie season. I'm like, Max's rookie season wasn't 2016, you moron. It was 2015. Like these people are insane.
Max was also out qualified by Carlos Sainz in his rookie season.
Yeah. So yeah, and I think everyone would agree. Right? Like,
Max was 17 when he debuted.
17,
right?
Yeah. But like, I also think that people would agree that even Max fans would agree that George is a better driver than Sainz, right? So like,
yeah,
so I don't know. I think it's a reasonable season. I just think the expectations were way too high, like way too high. And I think that, Toto going on about how this is the next Verstappen, this is the next superstar in our driving world going forward, and he's going to blow your minds, and I'm sick of George, I'm bored with him. Like, I think all of that essentially made us think this guy's going to come in and fucking destroy everything. And I think as Hülkenberg showed us, the tires can really fuck you up in this sport, just tires alone, so you've got to get into managing that. Plus we know he was told like at the start of the season to kind of ease it in. Yeah. And the only concern I have, which I think is a valid one, and it goes back to Daniel Ricciardo in McLaren showing us this, the only concern I have is I hope they don't, he's young, so he should be pliable on this, but I hope they don't kind of make him overthink now constantly, like, in terms of doing that, because we know that when it comes to drivers, as soon as you start overthinking behind the wheel, it really dents your confidence. And he's at the point where a dented confidence could completely ruin his trajectory as a driver. So I think we need to see, but let's look at Piastri, for example. Like Piastri's first season was decent, but he was destroyed basically by Lando. His second season was again very good. He won races, but still destroyed by Lando. And his third season, he's been the better McLaren driver. So I think in this modern age of Formula One, and maybe as you said with ground effect, maybe there is just a lot more to get on top of,
Yeah. It seems like it because we don't see rookies come in and have the instant impact that we used to, right, in the previous eras. And maybe it has to do with ground effect.
Apart from Colapinto last year, obviously,
Yeah, we'll get to him as well. For me, I think what has actually hurt him personally is the last 4 or 5 races where I think he's had a lot of DNFs. And what that does is it creates a perception, and you can say until Miami or so he was fine. I think he had a pole position in the sprint, and he was basically getting more and more in line with what the car could do. It's just the last 4 or 5 races, I think in one of them he just basically ran into Max. The second was a reliability issue in the race before Canada, which was Barcelona, if I'm not wrong.
Yeah, so he's retired from Imola, Spain, Austria, and Great Britain so far.
Imola was some reliability issue?
I think so, because I remember it was at the start of the race, basically, he was gone, right? He pulled off.
No, it was in the middle of it.
Was it? He pulled off that was where he pulled off in the same place that Ocon did, right?
He was the one. Yeah. So he that was a reliability issue. I think in Barcelona also there was a reliability issue or something.
Believe so,
if I'm not wrong. Yeah. So he's basically had one collision, which was with Max. He just crashed into him. It was in Austria. Yeah. In Silverstone again, he was. I think he was crashed into by Hadjar.
Yes.
So it's just this last 4 or 5 races where he's not been able to get on top of things. And the momentum has been broken.
Yep.
I think he's been held back to a certain extent in terms of he's not being told to just go out there and be a rookie. He's been told to take things a bit easier, not push to a large extent. And I'm not sure if it is the right approach or the wrong approach. Time will tell. But I think the talent is there. It's there for everyone to see. He's very
he
doesn't look
quick.
out of place.
No.
That's the biggest thing. And Mercedes is not the easiest car to drive as well. It's not.
But what are you talking about? But George can drive it, so it must be really easy because George isn't that good of a driver.
Yeah,
I think you're crazy.
I mean, until last season it was tough. but now it isn't, right?
No, now it's easy to drive.
Yeah. And Lewis worked very hard to make it
Yeah.
happen.
Lewis built that for him. Lewis handed him the fruit from his tree.
Yeah.
And
Yeah, so that's again, just breaking it down, I think that's more or less the good thing for me, because I think he hasn't looked out of place in any which way. The pace is there. He's a couple of tenths off, and you can expect that when you're pairing him with probably one of the best drivers in Formula One. It's going to be there. What's going to be interesting for me is how things happen in the next season, because next season is it's a clean slate.
Yeah.
There are going to be a lot of changes in terms of the regulations, the cars, and
his teammate.
yeah, maybe. And once that happens, do
you think he'll drive well at Alpine when he's moved there next year? Or...
Oh, by the way, if he moves to Alpine and Christian Horner takes over Alpine, just
yeah.
Oh God, I doubt Toto will send him anywhere close to Christian Horner, because that's something.
It depends. Does Toto hate Christian or Red Bull more? It's definitely Christian.
We know the answers.
It's definitely Christian. Yeah.
It's not even a question, right?
No.
So I think let's see what happens with Kimi, because that's also going to be interesting. I mean, for me, the bad bit. I mean, sorry, you have something to add, go for it.
No, go ahead.
Yeah. So just jumping on the bad bit, I think, and we touched on it a bit, and I've had this pet peeve when it comes to Kimi. I think maybe it's just the generation, but I do not see a future where I see Kimi Antonelli being this brash young kid who is going to tell Toto to fuck off when it comes to a team order.
Yeah. You have to be left at petrol stations and stuff for that to happen.
I mean, look, Lewis would have done it in his career. Alonso would have done it. Vettel did
the old generation did it. But then again, I wonder, because a lot of these guys do it after they start winning races, or especially after they become champions.
Max did it in 2015 in a Toro Rosso.
Yeah. But Max's dad inspired him to go hell for leather, you know? Because anyway, that's what happens when you're the number 2 driver behind Schumacher. You never want your kids to be there, you know?
Yeah, the PTSD is immense.
Yeah.
Never listen to a team order.
You think Jos would have been nicer to Perez, don't you? You know? Given he'd been a worse version of Perez in the past himself, you know?
Who knows?
Yeah. Anyway, so I don't know. Any chance to dig at Verstappen and Hamilton fans, I'm going to take it. Yeah.
What's the bad bit in your case?
Like I said, I was expecting him to just have like kind of more raw pace, like in terms of just being faster. I was genuinely expecting him to have like more mistakes but be faster. But again, I don't know if I blame that on Kimi, because it seems like to me that this has kind of been the instruction. And I also, look, at the end of the day, I think maybe it's a good thing at the end of the day. Like maybe Toto knows what he's doing in terms of like, this is the best way to build him up and not have him just wreck the car all year and be under that level of pressure. And I'd rather him be a little bit slower, but we know in private tests that we do that he's still got the pace. So like they will know behind the scenes that he's doing the private tests. He's just as quick. He hasn't lost his pace. And we're kind of building, you know? So I think it's fine. I just think it's a case of like, one, we don't know how difficult that Mercedes is to drive. Like we have no idea. The Mercedes is also incredibly inconsistent. Like every week we don't know where it's going to be, because Mercedes don't seem to know. And as I said, it's the other thing of like, he's got a teammate who I think, look, if we were reasonable about this last year, was always going to make him look bad. I think 2 things happened last year. One, people were either Lewis Hamilton fans who, as you said, thought that the car was tricky to drive for Lewis, and that's what the problem was. Or you had people who didn't like Lewis, who basically said that Lewis was shit now, so whatever. And I think the truth is, Lewis was still driving at a very high level. It's just George was beating him. Yeah. So, and again, I'm going to get painted as a fucking George fan again here, which I'm not, for the record. I'm a Cola Pinto fan, which is arguably worse. But like,
no argument there.
Yeah. Like we know George is very, very good. So I think we should have just known after last year, Antonelli's not going to beat George in season 1. But I think everyone was setting the expectation that, oh, like Antonelli comes in, it's going to make George look real bad. And it's like, I just think that was never going to happen. But everyone's expectations were put there by the media. And for some reason, this constant, even by Toto, diminishing of George. Like, even when George is driving, he's driving just as well as Verstappen this year. Like, arguably just as well as Verstappen this year. And you could argue slightly better given where the cars are at certain races, right?
Yeah.
And yet it's still like, yeah, but I mean, you get rid of George, right? Like, obviously, it's like, why? Like, why have we got this perception? You know, like, I just don't get it. But yeah, Antonelli, I think, has been doing a very good job. It's just, I think it's just the expectations. I genuinely think that's all it is. I think everyone expected him to do better, and I think it was probably a bit unreasonable. I think he's doing, like, if those expectations weren't set, and this was just another junior that's being brought in, another rookie that's being brought in, I think everyone would be like, he's doing very well. Like, he's gotten unlucky with some retirements, but he's got a podium. Like, he's been driving well. You know, he recovered well in Australia. You know, like, he's been doing a good job, and he's been
got
close
a pole in Miami as well.
Yeah, in the sprint. Yeah, sprints don't count though.
Yeah.
So, yeah, I think if those expectations weren't there, we'd all be saying he's probably the best rookie this season so far. He's just got unlucky. But because those expectations are there, everyone's going, no, Hadjar's the best rookie. You know, so it's just, it's expectations for me, nothing more.
And now the final bit, where do you think, what does his future entail, ideally? How do you see his career trajectory going?
I think the thing is, it depends on the car. Obviously, let's just point that out, because like he could literally drive as well as Verstappen, but if he's in a car that's fifth fastest, he's not winning a championship. But I think if Mercedes can deliver the car, he should be a world championship competitor at some point, because he seems to, from everything we saw in his rookie career, have the raw pace. We've seen glimpses of this season. So if he can build up in the same way that Piastri kind of built up over the couple of seasons, he should be world champion material. Obviously, he's going to need the car to be there. But
how long do you think it takes to get there?
It depends who his teammate is, doesn't it, as well? But I think 2-3 seasons, that seems to be a reasonable amount for these cars now.
But the cars are changing next season.
It also depends on the cars next year, definitely. Yeah. But let's see.
I think he'll benefit from the fact that next season the cars are going to be different and it will be a clean slate for almost everyone. Yeah. I also think that what that is going to do is it's going to put him in a situation where, assuming first of all that he's at Mercedes, because if he's at Alpine, I think whoever his teammate is going to get a big shock.
Or Williams, we just point out, because if Max,
not Williams.
No, because if Max does move, Sainz could get pulled up to. I don't think he will, but probably not. But I'm just saying it could happen. Like, you know, stranger things have happened.
Sainz is many things. He's not stupid, right?
Albon might move then, because Albon seems like he could take a jump. I'm just saying there's a couple of other teams he could go to that, you know.
I think ideally if Max moves, it's going to be a straight swap.
Yeah.
Basically with
George.
Yeah. I think that's the one I think it's
George seems consistently more and more confident that he's like that. Oh no, it's the other guy that needs to be.
But the funny
concerned.
thing is, there's not even a single person asking Kimi this question.
I know, yeah.
If there is a reason behind that, probably.
Yeah.
I don't know the reason. Honestly, what I've heard is that they have the contract signed. It's probably going to be announced during the Italian Grand Prix. But I have
for Kimi, I mean, for Kimi, yeah.
For Kimi.
Not for Max. Just to point that out, because a lot of people would have taken that as, why would they sign Max at the Italian Grand Prix?
Yeah. For Kimi, I don't know. So again, in my view, I think next season is going to tell us a lot about Kimi in terms of how he adapts and how he just gets on with things. I think I need to see a couple of things from him, and first is the steeliness, which I think is missing. I've not seen too many wheel-to-wheel action from him. I've not seen him being aggressive, and the flashes of brilliance that Max showed in his first season, I have not seen it from Kimi yet. Okay. And I saw it from Lando. I saw it from Charles, and both jumped into Formula 1 at similar ages. I saw it from even Esteban Ocon in his first season with Manor in 2015 or 16, whichever it was, where I think he almost scored a point in a Manor in Brazil, which is just being And just these drivers showing that the peaks are there. Maybe it's the cars, but I need to see that from him at least for now. So yeah, that's Kimi Antonelli. Next up, okay, a driver that is probably a bit under the radar. I mean, it suits with the green background that you have. Gabriel Bortoleto, what's your take on him? How good, bad? First, what's good?
I'm really impressed by him. I think he's got good pace, and I think he's quite level-headed as well. Like, I haven't seen any like sense of pressure or anything from him. He seems to be making all the kind of right noises and decisions there. I guess he's got a guy who's got a lot of experience with chaos in Formula One managing him. So he's probably keeping him away from that chaos in Alonso. But like, this is another one where, again, if anyone thinks Bortoleto's doing bad by comparing him to his teammate, you're a moron, because his teammate is one of the best drivers on the grid, and I don't care what anyone says. Yes, like, he just unfortunate career choices.
I mean, Carlos Sainz literally said that he's one of the top 5 drivers every season he's competed in.
It genuinely, but he did say some misogynistic things, so we have to take that into account. Obviously, it's very important that we take that into account. Yeah.
But only for him.
Only for him. Yeah. Hashtag bring back grid girls. But anyway,
they're gone though.
Yeah.
Huh? Yeah. I probably didn't notice.
You've been watching adult material before the races. That's why you're getting confused.
Yeah.
You need to stop doing that. It's weird. But yeah. No, I think he's been doing a really, really good job. And I think this is another reason, like, kind of similar to Kimi in a way, but very different. But the only reason that Bortoleto maybe doesn't look as brilliant as he has been, I think, is just because his teammate is brilliant. So it's hard to stand out there. But like, if we look at where the car was and where the car is now, both of them have been performing brilliantly well. And the only, like, Hülkenberg in Silverstone obviously looks way better. And I think Hülkenberg's biggest appraise there is because he called all the strategy. But you're only able to call the strategy.
Fast in the wet weather as well.
But he's also only able to call a strategy that well because he's been around for so long.
Yeah.
Like, he's looking for things that even some of the best drivers weren't, like, so,
Lewis went in a lap early, and
Lewis made the age-old mistake of trusting Ferrari, which Leclerc keeps doing, but that's a different story.
Yeah.
But yeah, I think Bortoleto likewise just has a brilliant teammate, and therefore maybe doesn't look as good as he has, but I think he's been very, very good.
7-7 in qualifying, by the way.
Which is amazing. And I think in the races, right? Like, I mean, Hülkenberg is obviously P9 in the standings. Yeah, I mean, the races don't really show it, do they? But I'm thinking here. So he's had 3 retirements.
Yeah.
Hülkenberg's had none. He's had a disqualification. And he's only finished in the points once so far.
The Austria race, right? Where he was behind Alonso.
Yes.
Yeah,
but then...
Yeah.
Like, I think Hülkenberg's been in the points 4 times, to be fair. But again, I think it's comparing him to Hülkenberg is quite tough. And for the most part, they've been pretty much on the same space in the track. So this is one of those things where if you go back and look at this a lot, which a lot of people will, unfortunately, you're going to look at his results compared to Hülkenberg's and going to be like, oh, well, that's pretty shit. But it's like, yeah, also though the car was quite difficult and it's Hülkenberg.
And he's learning.
He's learning.
We tend to miss this fact that at least, and I think that it seems to be the case with a lot of drivers. I think Oscar is probably one of the better examples where the drivers are able to get on top of qualifying a bit better. They adapt that quickly. But when it comes to races, the management of a lot of things has gone through the roof in terms of the learning that goes into that.
Oscar, perfect example, first 2 seasons, as you said.
Yeah, and that seems to be one area where I think experience helps. In terms of raw pace, I think Gabriel Bortoleto is there and thereabouts. He's pretty much on par with Nico, which is a good thing because, again, look, Nico is he's 37 plus now. He's also in basically 1 or 2 years left and best. That's it. It's not going to be more than that.
Unless he wins the championship next year with Audi.
Yeah, unless he does that.
Bronze style,
Browdy. So if he does that, it's just, I think for me, what I need to see from him is maybe just cutting down on the errors, because there have been crashes which have been basically slightly innocuous. In Australia, there was no need to crash and he just went into the barriers. In Silverstone, where Hülkenberg scored a podium, it was Bortoleto who also came out of the pits around the same time. He was on slicks, on wet weather, and just spun off.
Yeah.
So he's solid at least. I don't know the ceiling of him yet. I mean, how highly should he be rated? I think it's still a question mark. But yeah, at least for Audi, I think
It's a
they've
reasonable
got a
season, though.
decent. Yeah.
Yeah. Like, it's
At
not
least for Audi,
it's not a season where you'd be in anything going, oh, I'm not really sure about him. Like, I've seen enough to think, like, okay, with a year or two more of experience, I don't know whether this is going to be, like, I guess we'll talk about this in a minute, but I don't know if this is going to be like a future. I know he's an F2 champion, but it doesn't, I haven't seen anything that tells me like this is a future Formula One world champion. But I think this is a guy who could be a really, really good midfield long-term driver. And maybe if he gets the right car, like, he could challenge, but I guess we need to see. It's too early to tell.
Yeah, I think Audi has stumbled onto someone who they can rely on at least for next season, right? Which is a good thing. And they banged on a rookie, and seems like it has worked for them.
I think they've got a really good lineup. Like, if they have a decent
if the car is decent next season, they'll score points.
Yeah,
at least that's what
Hülkenberg will deliver every weekend. Like, that's he's been like that forever, you know. So,
what's the prospect, do you think, in terms of his career? Where do you think it is going?
I just don't think
for the next 2-3 years. I mean, we can't really project beyond that.
Yeah, like I think he's going to be one of those like mainstay of the midfield drivers. That's kind of what I'm expecting. I just don't. I guess the problem with this is always like it depends on what car you're in, right? Because maybe if he was sitting in the Mercedes right now, you'd be saying like, oh, this guy has glimpses of brilliance. But part of it's probably because of where he is in the car. We're not seeing like the actual peaks of what he can do. But even in his
how he's going to be.
Yeah, but even in his junior career, his championship in F2 told me strong kind of upper midfield. Maybe he'll be a brilliant number 2 in a top team. But I never saw anything from him that made me go, that's a future world champion. Like, that's a guy who's, that's kind of it, really. Yeah.
Yeah. I think probably by next season he will, I hate saying that, I think by next season or next year, mid-season, something like that, I think he'll start getting the better of Hülkenberg. Happens with age and happens with experience. I think by 2027, he's going to take over Audi as the lead driver. Mm-hmm. From there, it entirely depends on the direction Wheatley and Binotto take the team, because that is going to dictate what
depends
happens
on the success, right?
Yeah, exactly. That's plus the power unit.
Yeah. But I mean, if they come out with an absolute banger of a car in 26 or 27 and they're like fighting at the top, then they get really top tier talent to start looking at them, and then it depends on like where he tracks up. So I think we just don't know, right? We don't know where he is.
Yeah,
because his F2 career, even like, yes, he won the championship.
It's not a car I'm too. F2 is not a good indicator of where the drivers are.
But the point is, like, Prema, you have Behrman and Antonelli, who we didn't get. Like, if Prema had got their shit together last year, that's where we would have seen, I think, properly where does he actually stack up.
Yeah.
But it was him versus Hajar right by the end, if I remember correctly. So yeah.
I agree. I tend to agree with you on that. Next up, Isaac Hajar.
Incredibly
it's not
impressive.
Isaac Hajar. It's not Isaac. Apparently, it's Isaac. So Isaac Hajar. What's your view on the whole thing?
He's been incredibly impressive, right? Like, incredibly impressive. And it could have gone both ways, because remember the opening season, didn't he crash on the formation lap or whatever in Australia?
I think it was Lewis's father who just comforted him in the paddock afterwards.
Yeah. So like, but he's just been incredible. Like, his qualifying has been utterly impressive. So his raw pace is there clearly. And then he's been, I wasn't sure, because I remember seeing like lots of him last year where he was like screaming over the radio at everyone, and I was like, "Oh, this guy's going to fall apart in Formula One." Yeah, but he's been pretty relaxed and pretty incredible over the whole thing. I've been really, really impressed. I just hope they don't demote him to the Red Bull team too quick.
Apparently, they are going to do it next season.
Yeah, they're probably going to do it next race, knowing that fucking team.
Yeah. Tell me something. In your view, do you think he has been flattered by the situation that has been presented to him, in terms of the car seems to be user friendly in a lot of ways? Yuki is gone and he's been replaced by Liam Lawson, who's basically had the shock of his life by going to Red Bull for 2 races.
Yeah.
Do you think all of these things have contributed into Isaac probably having the perfect storm of a rookie season?
I'm not going to take the Lawson thing too much into account because he also performed really well even against Yuki at the start of the season. Like, he was doing a really good job alongside Yuki. So I think that's not really the issue. But yes, I do think there is part of like, he's probably got one of the most balanced and like kind of relatively easy to drive cars of the field because everyone who's driven it has said like it really is good. It gives confidence to the driver. You know, everyone's talked about it that's driven it. So I think that has helped quite a bit because when it comes to qualifying, especially, a lot of qualifying is just having complete and utter faith in the car, you know? So like, that's where you see like Yuki falls apart in the Red Bull because the qualifying, he just hasn't got the faith in the car. Lando, for example, like as soon as they fix the suspension, so he got a bit more feedback from the front of the car, immediately jumps kind of and he's like back confident again straight away. So yeah, I think that probably has helped. But that said, I still think the fact that he's like on that ragged edge of it on qualifying, that's impressive. Like it's still impressive no matter what. And then even in the races, like he hasn't fallen apart. He hasn't been terrible in the races, right? Like he's been pretty good. And so
I think he's 10th in the championship, 10th or
11th. I'm just looking. Yeah. So yeah, I think he's been pretty good. I think if he fell apart in races, that would be one thing, but he hasn't been. You know, like he's been pretty on top of it in races, and like he beat Tsunoda in one of the two races together, right? Yeah. In China.
I think no, Yuki had some reliability issue or something.
Maybe so. Yeah. But yeah, I'm just looking.
It's only two races. We can't really make much of a judgment on that.
He's been better than Lawson. That's something
by a fair mile, I'd say.
Yeah.
I think I agree with you on that in terms of he does have raw pace. That is something we cannot deny. For me, I think the question mark is still that he's not had a real benchmark next to him because what earlier used to happen was, and I think it doesn't happen anymore with Red Bull, that both drivers that were actually in the Red Bull B team, those drivers were ultimately going to be either race winners or you can say regular front runners.
Yeah.
We used to have Carlos, we used to have Daniel Kvyat, we used to have Gasly. Now we don't really have that. Now we've got probably a class of drivers that is maybe a step below that. And that is something that's evident. So you can probably flatter a bit when it comes to that in a whatever it is called now, Racing Bulls.
Yeah.
But when you step up to the big leagues, that's where just things start falling apart. And I think that's something that's going to be, I think maybe next season, if he's still at Racing Bulls and he's teamed up with Arvid Lindblad, I think we might see a better, probably a representative view of how the whole thing works. Or maybe even the second half of the season. Because now Liam is finally starting to get on top of things.
Yeah.
So maybe if we keep going through that, we keep seeing that maybe if Liam starts getting the better of him, like we saw in the weekend in Austria, Liam was the better driver, then the questions will be raised. So 12 races, in my view, it's been a bit of a perfect storm, but I'm still reserving my judgment when it comes to Isaac.
It's hard to call because of where everything is, you know. Like that team clearly has a car that's really relatively easy to drive, but then the teammate is the benchmark and Lawson's just a hard one to bench him against because Lawson...
Yeah.
Like if it was Lawson hadn't gone to Red Bull and had been carrying over and it was Lawson v Hadjar from the start of the season, I think that would have been a much better indication because Lawson is a very good driver. He just...
Yeah.
He had his confidence destroyed going to Red Bull.
Basically lost a part of his...
Yeah.
Lost a part of himself when he went to Red Bull.
By the way, I switched the camera back on in case you're wondering.
But you can see.
I just if it starts going again and I turn the video off, just you know why.
Cool.
Yeah,
cool. Yeah. Okay. Just the future projection. I'm not too optimistic in terms of him being a future champion or any such thing. I'm just I as I said, I reserve my judgment when it comes to that. I'd still want to see more. What do you think?
Yeah. Again, like it's kind of one of those things where I want to see him benchmarked against someone else. I want to see the rest of the season even as well. But like he's clearly very, very good. So it's hard to say what the ceiling is because we don't have anyone to really bench him against that's a proper known quantity, so we need to really see that, I think. So I think over the next season and a half we should see properly. But in terms of raw pace, if he's able to carry that raw pace over to like a top team, for example, I mean, he could be a very, very quick driver. The question is, we don't know.
The raw pace is, right?
Yeah.
Agreed. I think I'm pretty much on the same.
It's all,
we don't
this
know
is complete
exactly,
guesswork,
right?
because I think with the other two drivers we just talked about, it's like we kind of know, well, we do know exactly where their teammates are, which is why it's like when it's Hülkenberg and Russell are your teammates and you're performing where you are, like Bortoleto on paper probably doesn't look that good if you're just looking at the stats, but it's like we know how good Hülkenberg is, we know where Hülkenberg is, so it's actually pretty reasonable where he's finishing.
Yeah.
Same with Kimi compared to Russell. It's like it's pretty reasonable.
Yeah.
With Hadjar, we just don't know. Like,
exactly.
Maybe you put a Russell alongside him in that car, and it's like, oh, he actually looks really shit. Like, who knows? So,
and how he deals with it as well, because the pressure is going to be entirely different.
Yeah.
Racing Bulls in that sense has been a very good environment. Who knows how it's going to be with Alan Permane at the top.
Yeah.
But that's... By the way, the Alan Permane legendary team radio?
Which one?
Fisichella, you are 2 seconds slower than Fernando Alonso. You are on the same strategy with the same fuel load. You cannot be this slow. You need to start pushing.
Oh, man. Poor Fizzy,
yes.
Jesus.
Literally, he ripped him to pieces. Like, what is he going to do in that?
Was that 2006 Japan? 5 Japan?
Australia.
Oh, okay. There was another one in Japan, though, wasn't there? That sticks out to my head because I remember I think
Japan sticks out because Kimi drove through the field and won, right?
That's what I'm thinking of. Yeah, never mind. Yeah. Okay. Right. Who's next on our list?
Next up, it's your favorite, Franco Colapinto. Okay, go for it. I mean, this one is going to be brief and tragic.
I think he's doing absolutely brilliant, to be perfectly honest. I think. Look, he's been doing better than doing, so it's a start.
Bullshit. He isn't.
Yes, he is.
He isn't.
He is.
No.
He's had less DNFs than doing. No. Yes, he has. He had 2. Franco's only had 1, and it was a DNS.
Franco has 2, right?
Nope, just 1.
How many times has he outqualified Gasly?
Oh, none, I'd say. But, this is the thing. Gasly and Doohan both had preseason testing. They had a lot of time to acclimatize. Doohan had a race in Abu Dhabi in the old car.
Collaborator is not going to listen to
I'm just saying, Franco has been better than Doohan. Now, when it comes to Gasly, clearly they've built the car in his direction as far as I'm concerned. And I will say, I'm obviously making stupid excuses there. He should be doing better. But to give him a little bit of fairness, clearly that Alpine, even in Gasly has talked about it, clearly it's a little bit difficult to drive.
Shit car,
and we know that it's a shit car, first of all, because like over the season so far, Gasly's been in the points 3 times, I want to say. I'm going to check. I think it's 3.
3 or 2, not more than that.
Yeah, and then if you look at like the results from Gasly, it's 11th, 13th, retirement. No, sorry. 11, 13, 7, he finished in the points. He had a DSQ in the second race. Retirement, 13, retirement, 8th, 15, 13, 6, right? Jack Doohan was retirement, 13, 15, 14, 17th, retirement. Colapinto's been 16th, 13th, 15th, 13th, 15th, do not start. So basically, in terms of just where they are, they've all actually just been in and around like 13th, 15th. The car is kind of just shit. It's Gasly's peaks that make the other two look bad because Gasly's got into the points a couple of times. And his qualifying has been quite good from Gasly, to be fair. But that tells me that realistically, the car is the problem because qualifying tells you how comfortable someone is in the car if they can get like close to the peaks, basically, which Gasly has. And I do think what Colapinto said kind of stands out to me as he basically in an interview said the car is incredibly stiff and there's like no feeling from the suspension. Kind of similar to what Lando's been saying where like he has no front end feel. So I think in a reasonable situation, both Doohan and Colapinto, both of them should have just been given a full season to actually just embed, get used to the car and not have this silly pressure on. And I don't think Colapinto's been doing as badly as it seems, considering where the car is. It's just you've got a driver who's been in the car for 2 seasons. Is this his second season or third season in this team? Third season. So you've got a driver's third season against 2 drivers, neither of which have had a full season to acclimatize. And
They're
I think
rookies.
exactly. And the main problem I think Colapinto has is
Flavio.
again and expectations, because Colapinto got into a car last year and absolutely blitzed it for the first couple of races and then started crashing. So he's either needs to be
never slow. The
No.
thing with Franco has, at least Williams, was that he was never slow.
he was really
I
quick.
just-
Yeah.
Yeah, I think it's the environment that has not worked for him in any which way.
I think it's the
that is
environment and the
limiting
car.
factor.
I think if
don't
he's not
even
getting
think
any
it's the
feel
car.
from if he's not getting any feel from the car as a rookie, that's got to be very, very difficult, because it's tricky for other drivers who aren't rookies. Have talked about
The
this.
reality is, when you're moving from a Formula 2 to Formula 1, it's not
Maybe.
everything
Yeah,
feels
maybe.
an upgrade, right?
Yeah, maybe.
I just think it's the environment. I think Franco, how good a talent he is, we saw it last season. And if there's anyone who is judging him on the basis of this brief period at Alpine, I think they're making a mistake. Just personally, my view.
because we saw how quick he was last year.
That is
And
the whole point.
The thing is, it's not
And
like a
unless-
Nick De
unless
Vries
you
where he.
think that Gasly is like 3 or 4 tenths faster than Alex Albon. First of all, if you think that, you're foolish.
Yeah.
Secondly, that's not the case, because
Yeah,
they
yeah.
are all pretty much on the same level. And it's just in that particular scenario, you could see that Franco flourished in that particular environment. And
But
I
it's
think
also
currently
it's
is
not
a
like
good place to
a
be.
Williams
is
at that
hurting
point
him.
as well. His stint at Williams was not like a Nick De Vries where he happened to get dropped into a relatively easy to handle car at the perfect race where that
You mean
car could
Hassett?
speed.
Isaac.
No, De Vries back in 22.
Oh,
was it,
okay, the
whatever.
Monza race.
When he got dropped into the Williams, right, where everything just went his way. He got dropped into the Williams. It was relatively easy to drive at that point, right? There was no big
I think there was
problems.
Latifi in the other car.
Exactly. Latifi into the car, and that Monza, the strongest track of the year for the car.
Yeah.
So all of this. Franco did it in tracks like Singapore and so on.
Everywhere.
Did it against a strong teammate and like over the course of it. And the problem he had was actually he was fast, but he crashed a few times. This season, he's slow. He's not crashing, apart from Silverstone.
crashed.
He's crashed once, and Imola qualifying is what you're thinking of, yeah. But like, he's not been fast. That's been the biggest issue. I think if he was really fast and crashing, it would have been like,
Yeah.
well, he's really fucking fast though, you know. So
That's the thing. And I think we saw a bit of it in Canada, where things kind of lined up for him. But beyond that, it's not been the case. I
think it's the environment more than anything else,
that's
realistically.
my view. I think he's not in the correct place, and I seriously hope he's not thrown into the gutter, because I fear that is honestly, I think that's where
Yeah,
the future lies.
I think
when
it is
he's
too.
with
Yeah.
Flavio. I think he needs a long extended run, someone to have trust in him and just let him do
He
the thing.
might get lucky in that no one else may be crazy enough to go to that team for the time being. Yeah. No,
Okay,
no one might be crazy enough to go.
Bottas is apparently.
Yeah, that's the problem, isn't it? That Bottas. Because, yeah. I don't know. Look,
He'd go there
I think
happily.
I'm biased, obviously, as a Colapinto fan. Like, obviously, I'll just say it. But, like, I'm also not, like, a diehard Verstappen-esque Colapinto fan. He
Like, you can
hasn't been...
see the reality.
Yeah, like, he hasn't been doing good enough. But I also do think that a lot of it is to... I also do think a lot of it is to do with the team, like, you know, like you can only do so much, and when you're a rookie in that environment, that's got to be fucking tough, because you know, like, you're between a rock and a hard place of, right, if I gun it and try and win and I crash, they're going to come down on me. But if I go slow and I don't crash, they're going to come down on me.
And that day is a giant.
It's Flavio, yeah.
Yeah.
It's not like it's Toto telling, like, Kimi, take it easy for the first few races, you know?
Yeah.
Like, it's... Yeah, so I don't know. I hope he gets given the full season, and I hope he can kind of get on top of things a little bit.
I hope he gets at least the entire season. I have a fear that the next 2 races, if they don't go well, they'll replace him after the
They'll
summer
chuck
break with
Bottas in or
Bottas.
something.
Yeah.
And I wouldn't be surprised they chuck Bottas in and Bottas struggles as well then for the entire season. And it's like, oh, right, it's the team environment of the car.
Yeah.
And you're like, oh, okay, you know.
But the reality is, look, what Flavio is trying to do is he's trying to just increase the jack up
price.
price
Yeah,
as
yeah,
much as he can before the whole thing is sold, and he gets a hefty commission. That's his entire purpose. So,
But I think you need to, the thing is, like, qualifying is one thing, but if you just compare either of them to Gasly, The story tells itself. It's the car.
Jack
and then,
Doohan as well. I wasn't for the first 6 races as a rookie. If you are able to outqualify your experienced teammate who is a race winner and has
Doohan did a
scored
decent
podiums,
job. Even his results weren't that bad. Like it wasn't.
he
His
should have
results
scored
were kind
points
of
in
there.
Bahrain as well. Just the strategy didn't work out, and
But also the
that's-
car was
yeah.
kind of there or thereabouts where he was delivering. So like,
Yeah.
you know, I don't like.
you need to give them
Gasly's been
time.
there for 3 seasons, right? This is his 3rd season, and Gasly's also an experienced racing driver who's been at another team for 5-6 years before that.
Mm-hmm.
6 years. So like, this is Gasly's 9th season. Is it 8th season in Formula One?
He came to Formula One in 2017.
Yeah.
So it's 8.
So so they're finishing thereabouts of where Gasly is.
Yeah.
Gasly's getting some higher peaks, of course, but you're dropping a rookie against a guy who's been there for 8 seasons. So like, if they were beating Gasly, it'd be like, we really need to get rid of Gasly quickly.
Yeah.
Like, so I don't know.
I don't know.
I-
Yeah, exactly.
yeah.
I don't know what's. But again, the method behind the madness is just get someone who can just score some points and they can finish better than 10th. I think that's
Yeah.
the entire logic here,
So we don't finish last in the standings, basically.
and gain something so that when the team is sold, there is something to sell. Look,
Well,
right now, if they are
I
being
hope it
sold,
goes
they've
to
lost
shit
a
so
lot
that-
of value.
Hopefully the value keeps going down, because apparently Horner is looking at 20% at the moment, according to some reports.
There is some.
Yeah.
I have no idea.
There's been a couple of reports come out since that basically it looks like it's roughly £300 million they'd be willing to give up 20% for, like Renault would,
Okay.
which is a good deal. But I'm guessing that's because of where the team looks right now. So
It's not a good deal. It would be worth what, 20 million pounds is 1.5 billion. That's the entire. I don't think it's worth that much.
Well, if it's 10% would be 150. Yeah, so 1.5 billion. So that'd be a good deal for Renault, I suppose. But yeah. But my point is, it could be higher if it was performing where it was in the past. You know.
I think I think what Horner would want is have Renault have no controlling stake. I don't think he wants to deal with Renault in any which way, especially because he would have PTSD of 2014.
So. Yeah. But I think if Horner's coming in for 20%, that brings Renault down to a 20 or like 25% share as well.
Renault has 76% right
No,
now.
not anymore. They've
74%.
sold off. Apparently, they sold off another 25 recently. I didn't know about.
No, I checked that day only when we were talking about it. Renault has 70 something percent.
Okay, maybe the report I read was wrong then. But apparently, they've sold it off or they're in the midst of selling off another 25%. So I think they're trying to get out anyway. So I think they're leaving. Yeah.
They should look if they. There's a new CEO and probably there might be some conversations on how they want to go about it. Yeah,
If I had to guess, I would imagine they're probably going to look at this Horner situation as an opportunity to maybe get themselves into a position where they have kind of a non-works Mercedes situation where they can keep some of the percentage, keep their name above the door, but not have to do any of the day-to-day running or worrying about the performance. So they get a really kind of
hard money.
Yeah, so they get like they get a cheap title sponsorship and they get to cash out as well. So that's what I would expect they're thinking of, yeah. So it still stays as like Alpine, but in name only, like nothing more. Basically.
I think the Alpine brand would be done because it was the brainchild of Luca Di Maio, and Luca Di Maio is gone. So
yeah.
Anyways, moving on from Franco Colapinto. Enough. His future, I think it's very, very. I think we both agree. I think we might be out of the
Which
seat
I think is
before the end of the season.
unfortunate. I think he's a solid talent. That if he was at the right team, like if Sainz hadn't assigned for Williams, I think even with the crashes, I think Vowles probably would have seen it as
100%.
If I can calm him down,
I
I
seriously
get him,
hope Vowles keeps an eye on Franco because Franco is a talent you should not just.
Yeah. I think he might kind of try and help him out as like an insurance policy because if Sainz or Albon leaves, he could be a guy that you could. Like, basically, if you can tone the crashes down and you give him the right environment, very quick driver.
Yeah, crashes is something everyone does.
Yeah.
Max used to crash a lot early in his career, and it's just
Hamilton
part of the
as
sport.
well, like all of them. Yeah. So
Anyways, moving on to the next one, it's Ollie Behrman.
I forgot about Ollie Behrman. That's
Good job. in terms of what's been good about him, then we'll talk about that.
Yeah, he's been much more anonymous than I thought he would be. But that is part and parcel with driving for Haas, isn't it? So again, another one where he's been quite good
in parts.
Yeah, he's driving kind of like Ocon, his teammate. Really good for a weekend here and there, anonymous for other weekends, and really just a disaster of a weekend here and there as well.
He's had a few howlers, right? I mean, the one in Australia, the first race weekend was pretty rubbish, and he needs to be very careful, by the way, because he's at 8 right? penalty points.
Yeah,
already, which is, I mean, he's basically what I think. Yeah, Max is still at 9, so Max is still ahead, but that is a risky zone to be in, and he needs to be careful with the red flags every time. He's fucked it up. I think he has 6 penalty points just because he fucked up the red flag thing.
Yeah.
Okay, I think in terms of talent and pace, he's fast.
Yeah, he's very quick. Yeah, we know he's very quick. Yeah.
His problem seems to be that he might be. I don't want to tag him with the same person, but I think he's showing a bit of the Pastor Maldonado thing, where he crashes a bit too much.
Yeah.
And he has strong peaks, but he cannot continue having them, which has been his junior career as well, to be honest. His peaks have seen us. I mean, he secured pole position in Baku in Formula 2 with a bent steering wheel.
Yeah.
So if you're able to do something like that, it means there's talent there. I think there's some races where I think with Ocon what has happened is he's joined a team which has a Ferrari power unit after driving for Renault, which is basically a Renault power unit for 5 years. So the adaptation and moving takes time. For Ollie Behrman, I think he raced 3 or 4 races already last season with Haas. So the adaptation period has been a bit less compared to that.
Yeah.
For both of the drivers, I think the second half is going to be crucial because look, Ollie has aspirations of being a Ferrari driver. Yeah. But for what he's shown this season, pace is there, but he's not a complete package to be in a Ferrari. At least for now, he's not shown that.
Well, he'd be an upgrade on their number 2 driver.
At least pace would be there.
Cheaper.
Yeah, and cheaper, yeah. Pennies.
Yeah. Pennies on the dollar. Yeah. And he's not bigger than Ferrari, so that would help. Yeah, I don't know. It's just we know he's very quick and we know he's a capable pair of hands at time. But yeah, he's been just making just a lot of silly mistakes, especially the free practice and qualifying infringements and stuff have just been
too much.
Yeah.
Right.
I don't know. Maybe he's taking too much from Ocon, I think is the problem, Ocon's very inconsistent.
Okay. Yeah. It took me a minute to realize.
Because Ocon's brilliant some weekends and then he's absolutely just all over the place other weekends. And I feel like Behrman's been similar. Maybe it's just Haas. Maybe Haas is because everyone who goes to Haas basically complains about Haas, right? So maybe it's just a terrible environment to be a rookie.
It seems like it. I mean, the environment is good. I don't know if the car is good enough either. It's just that in one weekend you have Ocon kind of nailing everything and just getting a result, and then you have the next weekend where Ollie does it. I think the points gap is a bit huge, though. I think it's 23
to 6.
Yeah, that's a bit too much. But I think Ocon has had his peaks, right? That has helped him. The races it was Bahrain, Austria. There was one in Monaco, which have hurt basically the second driver.
Yeah.
Look, if Ollie stops crashing this many times, I think he'll probably, ideally he would be at Ferrari is what I would see his career trajectory to be. But for that, he needs to clean up a lot of things. I mean, the talent is there.
With Ocon, just looking at this, there's also 3 of the last races, Behrman's finished in 11th when Ocon's been 9th or 10th. So it's
not too far.
Yeah. Part of that is just luck as well, just strategy, luck.
Midfield has a lot of that. That also plays a role.
Yeah, this is why points for the midfield drivers, midfield rookies, is hard to judge them on, because it's like you're very lucky to get into the points, because there's 4 teams at the top that basically have the 8 of those like positions sewn up every weekend straight away. Well, there's 7 in Hamilton, and then
6 in Hamilton. There's Yuki.
Sorry, I forgot there's Yuki as well. Yeah. So, God, yeah.
Okay.
And Max doing it in the 7th fastest car as well. Obviously, it's very impressive.
That hurts.
Yeah. Like, I don't know where to call on Behrman, to be honest, because it has been kind of a messy start, but it also hasn't been awful either. Like, it's just kind of,
he's shown pace, but he's not put the weekend together, and that is something that is something that should be concerning, because that is probably what a finished product is, isn't it? That you can nail your free practice, then your qualifying, then your race, everything together, and that is something Isaac has been doing it pretty well.
Yeah, I just have the same concern for him that I had like last year. I think I mentioned it. I was like concerned for Behrman and for Bortoleto, because I was like, if you go to either of those 2 teams, they're not really the greatest place to show yourself as a rookie. Like, it's really, because the team environments just aren't great and the cars are shit. And Bortoleto, and Bortoleto's gotten kind of lucky that, Wheatley and Bonotto have kind of turned things around to an extent, and they've been able to kind of show off. But at Haas, it's like, it's hard to show off in that team, regardless, and I don't know, like, we'd have to wonder how much of it is just Haas are just not good at prepping rookies, because every rookie who's gone in there has had a bad time. I know one of those rookies is Nikita Mazepin, so it's not a great baseline, but like Schumacher could have been a very capable midfield driver.
Be Formula One, by the way.
He should I think he should have been one of those drivers. Like, if he had joined even an Alpine or a Williams or something, like not been in Haas, I think he would have been, even Sauber, like back when he was joining it.
That is where he should have been, right?
Like, I think he'd still be one of those drivers like a Gasly or Albon or whatever, who's kind of passed around the midfield, becomes that kind of capable, throw him in, like an Ocon, like whatever, just that driver that kind of is constantly there. But he just, because he went to Haas, it just
became an ego battle. And look, the more and more you hear from Ralf Schumacher, you tend to realize that maybe Gunther was right. Because Ralf went after Steiner like anything for a year or so. And
Ralph likes to talk, so,
Yeah, but all of that turned into a negative PR for Mick, right? Because it's the Schumacher family. And you have this shittier mouthpiece. It tends to work against you. I think
It's hard to say, like, how much of that is influencing Behrman, We don't know.
Let's see. I think for him, the good thing is that the pace is there. The bad thing is that the errors are a bit too much and they are drastic. Let's
Which
maybe
is honestly just, it is strange though, given when he dove into the car last year for those couple of races.
Yeah,
he was instantly brilliant in it. So it is just odd that it's like, what's going on.
Maybe he was under a lot of pressure and he was pretty much on the straight and narrow, and now he's not being his disciplined self. Now he's being his usual self.
Right? Maybe.
Let's see. Let's give him the next. Ideally, look, if he has to chart a path to Ferrari, it has to be, he has to start beating Ocon in the next 12 races, and next season he has to pretty much be the better driver at Haas.
Yeah.
If he's unable to do that, I don't think Ferrari takes him. They'll probably go for someone else. Because 27 Ferrari will need one driver for sure. I don't think the Lewis Leclerc lineup lasts beyond 2026. Yeah. And I think with that, the rookies
we've got
done.
One more rookie.
Who?
Alonso.
I mean, he's the best driver in Formula 1, isn't he?
Yeah.
Okay, now the questions are there. I think there are...
Are we doing preview of Spa
we'll
or
do
questions
it for 5
first?
minutes, Let's do
preview
the questions
of Spa first? Oh, questions first. Okay, and then preview.
Okay. First...
If you want me, I'll jump on one here. Not a question, but just someone posted, I think was a good one. Rich Porter on X said Lewis was wrong on lap 1 at AD 21.
He's right.
Yeah. Actually, there's literally... I'll run through these because there's not any questions. There's just 3 statements. Coffeehead said Liberty Media saved F1. disagree massively. I miss it when it was an absolute disaster.
I agree. If Liberty Media was not there, I would not have a career in Formula One or covering Formula One.
But I'd be watching it still.
Yeah, watching is fine, but not have a career there.
I miss the billionaire Lufa. He was brilliant. And then Magic Alonso says, not unpopular, but Lewis Hamilton is the luckiest athlete of all time. 2007 jumped straight into a title competing car with his two contenders. Had insane struggling with Bridgestone tires, Kimi and Alonso. And 2008 Singapore and Glock. And then jumps in a Merc and has world-class cars. 2007 is a good point as well that I had never really thought of. Yeah, the tires for Alonso as well, because he had to switch, right?
Yeah.
So
from being on Michelin throughout his entire career and then moving to Bridgestone.
And whereas Hamilton, even though it was a rookie, would have had thousands of hours of
no, he still had Bridgestone in Formula 2. They used to be the same tires. So
okay, interesting. I hadn't considered that. That's got 7 likes and a few shares, by the way.
Jesus, wow.
Oh, and then the post has 4 likes. So well done, Magic Alonso. And then the second comment part of that is the fact that Rosberg retired in 2016 when 17-18.
Okay, wait.
Ferrari
jumps on Mercedes and has world class cars, and then the fact that Rosberg retired in 2016 when in 17-18 Ferrari were very close, which would mean that
basically what he's saying is Vettel would have had a Kimi Raikkonen-esque win in 17 and 18 probably because, he would have just been gathering points while those two were taking them off each other. Yeah. And also, to nag on that as well, if you want me to be a complete prick to Hamilton fans, he also got very lucky in 2021 too because they didn't promote George when they were planning to. Yeah. And if they had promoted George, there's no way Hamilton wins 2021 because George would have taken lots of points off him. So... Exactly. I mean, I don't want to say luckiest athlete of all time. That's clearly that male swimmer lady that Joe Rogan always goes on about.
I mean, his love with trans people is. Yeah,
I do agree that if I was a team owner of some sort of sport that wasn't racing cars, I agree I would hire exclusively trans athletes.
Yeah, but you can't, right?
No, I would have because, you get the performance of a man with the cost of a woman.
In terms of... I know what you mean. Okay, also had the best machinery out of any driver. And that I agree with.
All right, is there other questions? Because these were all statements. Like, there's nothing to answer. By the way, lap 1 Abu Dhabi, I agree. That should have been penalised and it was ridiculous 100%. That it wasn't. So
and Lewis got penalised in 2022 for the same thing.
Yeah.
And you know what he did that to Carlos, and Carlos came on the radio and said, he did the same thing in 2021.
The only thing I will say, because otherwise it is pretty, weird of me not to, is you can't really compare 2 seasons because over the off season they normally go and sit down with the drivers and go through like what should we change in the regulations.
Yeah, but he shouldn't have still
restrictions and stuff. Yeah, he should have been penalised in 2021. Under the regulations, he should have been. It was a ridiculous call. So I think if we're going to call out ridiculous calls of the Abu Dhabi safety car, you got to call them all. So
but actually the thing is, the post was, what is your unpopular opinion about F1?
Oh, right. That's wasn't questions. So okay, well, great unpopular opinions. I think lap 1 Abu Dhabi, not really an unpopular opinion if you're not a Hamilton fan. I think I think pretty much every other fan base seems to agree that was a ridiculous call.
Yep.
Hamilton being lucky over those seasons. I mean, he had a lot of luck. I mean, also the fact is the best drivers get the best seats a lot of times. So to be fair to him, he had really great rookie seasons. Sure, yeah. And the call he was very lucky that neither Alonso or Vettel decided to jump to Mercedes because they could have. Obviously, Vettel wasn't going to because he was winning championships at the time, so I think it was pretty unlikely he was going to. But Alonso, given Alonso was driving for Ferrari, could have easily said, yeah, give me the Mercedes. They seem to be up and coming.
Track record of doing
making bad decisions. Yeah, exactly. He's also lucky that Hülkenberg didn't jump in there somehow, Yeah. So, imagine if Hülkenberg had taken that seat. Would have been incredible.
We know how it pans out.
Yeah, 8 world championships in a row.
100%, without a doubt.
Because he would have won 2016 and 2021, Hülkenberg, without fail. Yeah,
without a doubt.
Easily. That bloody misogynist. Bring back... Yeah, anyway, sorry. Is there any more unpopular opinions?
Yeah, on YouTube. So the first is Oscar and Lando deserve to have the fastest car since they've invested and built up McLaren. This is
Yeah.
from Red Robin 1122.
I think it's a reasonable thing to say, isn't it?
I think it's a perfect thing to say.
Yeah.
I think this is the best thing to say because a lot of people continue to wank about why I can't believe Lando is in the fastest car now, or I can't believe Oscar is in the fastest car now when Leclerc is not, or when Max is not, or Lewis is not. Well, Max was called by Zach and he didn't pick up. That's on Max. And if Lewis or Leclerc or all these guys are not, it's on them. These
Lando
guys made the
did
call.
the same. Lando did the same thing Verstappen did. Had faith in a team, struggling through it, and arguably Lando worse because he was in a midfield car, whereas Verstappen was for a lot of the seasons at least in a top 3 car that could get a win here or there. So, I mean, you know, Verstappen did the same thing. There was plenty of times Verstappen could have thought about going to a Ferrari, maybe trying to chance his arm to get into the Mercedes earlier on. Like all of those things could have done, but he stuck with Red Bull, and Red Bull turned it around, and Horner gave him an amazing car, and then he kicked Horner out. But Norris did the same thing. Like Norris was called by Red Bull a couple of times and turned it down, and you know, so yeah,
pretty much the perfect call from him, right? Not going into that cesspool. Next up,
Jesus.
Next up, Shivam 77043. I think this is Coffee Head. So I think I might wait a minute. So there's it's Coffee Head. So F1 is about cars and teams, not about drivers. Lance Stroll will be a world champion in W11. I hate that thought that it is actually true.
I mean, like
the 2020 Mercedes is talking about.
Yeah, of course. Like the driver, as I've like constantly talked about on this, and I've talked about all the time, the driver makes up the kind of last 10%, and everyone thinks like 10 to 20% depending. I think it's 20% when it's wet and like the driver's making strategy calls and so on. I think you could say it's more, but normally it's 10%. And I think
it's 90% when it's Hülkenberg in Sauber.
Huh? Yeah. It's 95% Hülkenberg, 5% the car when it's Sauber in Silverstone, obviously. But no, like the thing is, everyone then shouts at me because I got a lot of people shout at me on my channel on the current and combustion because I said 10%. Like, what are you talking about 10%? So I did a full like kind of thing answering a question from someone. I was like, look, you got to keep in mind, like 10% of a 60-second lap would be 6 seconds. So if a driver made 6 seconds of a difference, you'd say that's fucking massive. Yeah. So 10% is quite a lot. It's just that 10%, like it's normally that, like Max isn't 10% better than Russell. Like Max isn't even 1% better than Russell. He's like 0.5% better than Russell.
Yeah.
Because if you took even...
Yeah, in the like best case scenario,
1% would be 6/10 of a lap, let's say.
Yeah.
So like the point is 10% is a huge amount of difference. But the 90% is made up by the car then, because like, it's probably more, to be honest. Like it's that tiny amount at the end. But you got to keep in mind, like the driver does help with development in terms of, you know, giving feedback. But then the engineers have to go build it. And the fact is, like, Max isn't winning races in the 7th fastest car.
Father when the time is right.
Yeah, but Max isn't winning races in the 7th fastest car as much as Verstappen fans want to say it. Hamilton didn't overnight just get shit in 2022. It's just he had a shittier car in 2022, you know, and then he had a very good teammate as well who was able to kind of deal with some of those problems and whatnot. But he didn't just all of a sudden go from being a world championship like contender in 2021 to being a shit driver in 2022. It's the car, you know, and then what the driver does with that car, fair enough. But it's not like Verstappen pulls the car from, like, it's not like if Verstappen wasn't driving that car. It's unfortunately, I know what you're going to say straight away, but if Verstappen wasn't driving that car, yes, it would be shit because look at what Yuki's doing. But that's because the car has been just put onto such a peak where it's only fast in that like really small window, you know? So this happens all the time. So yeah, like it's 10% the driver at most. And yes, Formula One, to the surprise of everybody, is a fucking car series. That's why it's got a Constructors World Championship, because it's about the fucking constructors. So yes.
By the way, we didn't used to have constructors for a long time. It was
until 72. Was it 74?
Late 70s, yeah. Late 70s, I think. So, yeah.
It may be 76, I think, yeah.
I guess.
I can find out. Yeah. Check. Anyway, sorry. Yeah.
Yeah. Final. So it's from Dane Lua. Sebastian Vettel is better than Lewis Hamilton, Fernando Alonso.
58, by the way.
1958.
Van Wall was the first Constructors' Championship. However, I will say I believe that it depends on how you
view the Constructors' Championship.
Yes, because I think in 1978 they changed the way they scored it based on building the car from scratch, I think, compared to like being a team who kind of buys the chassis and puts it together and so on. So it depends on how you classify it, but the first Constructors' Championship trophies were handed out in 58. So it depends on how. 78 is when it became the modern Constructors' Championship. So you're right and wrong at the same time, basically. Yeah, just to clarify.
Cool. Okay. Oh,
Dane
Sebastian Vettel is better than Lewis Hamilton, Fernando Alonso, and Kimi Raikkonen because you can argue the reason Aston Martin was so strong in the start of 2023 was because the Aston Martin input was from Vettel.
Well, Vettel took the fruit from that tree and handed it over
to Alonso.
Yeah.
And
was it FIA girly who went on about the tree? I think it was, right?
Yeah, and you also went after her for that. Right?
I didn't go after her. I just called out bullshit.
Yeah, of course.
Yeah.
The Quick Stop podcast. Maybe someday we'll do a react on them.
Maybe we'll have them on. It'd be great crack.
Yeah, I doubt they would.
Just tell FIA girly not to bring her knives along. The freak. Did you see that
Jesus.
post?
Yeah.
Yeah, she was like
I've seen worse stuff from her. This is actually,
FIA girly, if you are thinking about coming on the podcast, do, because it'll be real fun. Yeah. It's virtual, so knives can't hurt me. Plus, I live in Mexico. There's plenty of knives around. So anyway.
Okay. Obviously, Vettel. It's not done. It's not done, by the way.
Oh, sorry.
Obviously won 2008 Italy in a Toro Rosso in the wet, which is all about the driver. Agreed? Mm-hmm. He won the 2011 and 2013 convincingly since he was so consistent that year. And in 2010 and 2012, remember, he won in those years when he needed to play catch-up in 2010, especially where he was robbed of 3 wins in Australia, Bahrain, and Korea out of reliability issues. There were more than that. There weren't only 3. Australia, Bahrain, and Korea. I think there was... Am I missing a race?
In which year?
2010. I think there were more.
I can't remember. I'm pretty sure there were more though. I think there was at least 4, right?
Yeah. If I'm not wrong, there were more races which were missed.
I'll find out. Give me a sec.
Take a look.
So Sebastian Vettel retired in Australia, Turkey, and Korea. That was it.
Yeah, but in Bahrain he had the power unit issue, right?
He finished 4th, yeah.
He was winning the race and then he went back.
I think that's what you're thinking of. There was a couple of them where he had, like, he started on pole but fell back and so on. Like, because he had pole in Bahrain, finished 4th. Pole in China, finished 6th.
Yeah, I guess that's
pole in Great Britain, finished 7th. So,
yeah. And
he was 15th in Belgium. So maybe...
No, that was him crashing into Button. When
yes, you're right.
When Martin Whitmarsh called him a crash kid.
Yeah.
Funny he didn't have anything to say about Lewis in 2011. So yeah. Where am I? Okay, so he crashed out of reliability issues. Fine. In 2015, he was nowhere near the fastest car, yet he won 3 races, the only non-Mercedes winner that season. Agreed. We all know in 2017 and 2018, he should have won the championship had Ferrari not suck ass in their reliability and strategy calls. No lies detected. I could not have put it better.
Yeah, I just think it's just genuinely, and I keep saying this and people keep getting annoyed at me, but it's like it's revisionist history to say like Vettel was never like a top driver. It's just like what happened after 2014, basically everyone thinks about that and goes, well, look, he obviously wasn't that good. And it's like, yeah, but he was driving for Ferrari.
I mean,
a lot of that.
Even those guys have not seen the 2015 season because just, by the way, breaking news in case someone doesn't know, in 2015, Lewis Hamilton did not win the championship against Nico Rosberg. You know who was second in the championship when Lewis sealed the championship? It was Sebastian Vettel. And in the last 3 races, Lewis pretty much went partying, and Rosberg won those 3 races and then jumped Vettel. And the Ferrari, was almost a second slower than Mercedes. And even then, he was ahead of Rosberg in the championship. And people say Rosberg is elite.
The point of this is at the moment, I hear a lot of Verstappen fans talk about how, Vettel was never at this level, even though they both won 4 titles at Red Bull, right?
Yeah.
And it's like, yeah, but what you're talking about is
longest reigns, 10
it
and
depends 9. It depends on how Verstappen's champion, like if Verstappen does stick around for years and like never wins again and like is in a Ferrari situation where he loses a couple of championships due to, like if he goes to Mercedes and McLaren win a couple of championships due to reliability and so on, he'd be like, oh, well, he's lost it. And people will start talking about it the exact same way. Same in that like Hamilton was like, oh, he could be the greatest of all time. And after 4 seasons, it's like, Jesus, Hamilton was never that good. Like, you know, this is what happens. So
my worry with Vettel is he goes the Fernando Alonso route where he keeps throwing a
Verstappen, you mean?
Yeah, sorry. With Verstappen is that he goes the Alonso route where he keeps throwing the hissy fit, you can't game the system, and I think he's trying to game the system right now because as soon as he's found a car that is not good enough, he's having these very, very fidgety moments where he's trying to secure his future and get the best possible car, and he's going about it in a very, very impatient and honestly foolish manner. But let's see what he does.
We'll see. But I think this is the thing. Like we need to wait until kind of the end of Verstappen's career to see how he actually stacks up. Because like for me, he's one of the best at the moment. But like this is the thing; it falls apart so quickly.
Here's a hot take. Here's a hot take, by the way, since this is probably the unpopular opinion section. I think if Max had kept his head right this season and been completely committed when it comes to racing, I think he would still be in the championship fight. Mm-hmm. That's my view. I think he's given up after first 4 or 5 races, and he's been looking for a way out for a long time, and it shows. Just my view. Anyways, we're done with the questions. Cool. Guys, thanks for sending us the questions. Love you for that.
And let's just do a quick Spa
preview. Spa. Okay. First of all, it's a sprint weekend this time around. So roughly what's the pecking order do you think it's going to be? Because Ferrari has apparently done the filming day.
Well, Ferrari's fixed the suspension, haven't they? They reckon it's going to give them at least 7 seconds advantage or something.
Roughly.
Roughly. See, the thing is, I would have guessed Red Bull would be very, very high up on this one because of like straight line speeds and so on. But
fast speed section.
I've been proven wrong before that on that. But I'm still going to say it, and you know why? Because this is the perfect.
I'm sorry to butt in. I think I saw your post as well. It's rain. A big factor.
But it's also the perfect weekend for Red Bull to do really, really well, so that all of the Verstappen fans can basically say, "Look, I told you it was Horner," even though they've won races this season already. So it's not like, But I expect that to happen. I expect Max to have like a brilliant weekend, and it will be. I'm kind of thinking this is how it will go. Max will have a brilliant weekend, reaffirm that he's staying with Red Bull for 2026. They'll all seem real happy, and then George will be signed. George will be signed again after a couple of weeks, and then we'll get into 2026, and they'll be like, "Oh shit! Turns out Horner wasn't the problem." No, but I'm expecting Red Bull. Just even if nothing happened, I would have expected Red Bull to be pretty good around here. So I think they would have been close to McLaren. I think McLaren still would have been slightly faster, but I think it would have been pretty close. And I think in the wet, you got to give Max will edge that out. Yeah. So I would say if we're just talking about like pecking order of where I think the cars will finish, I think it's going to be Red Bull, McLaren. Ferrari could be good around here. And then Mercedes, maybe. Mercedes is the hardest one to call because Mercedes did win. Yeah, well, I mean, Lewis inherited the win from George, obviously.
Even then,
and George inherited the win by being given a cheating strategy. Yeah. So really, they didn't win at all. Casual. Oscar should have won that race. Was it Oscar or Lando that was in third? It was Oscar, right? Yeah. Yeah. Mercedes could be good around it. I don't know, but I'm guessing it's going to be. I don't know where Mercedes
reaction.
are. Yeah.
That was my first reaction when I actually thought about it. Look, it's going to be cooler conditions, so maybe Ferrari struggles a bit. But again, they were pretty strong in Silverstone in the wet. Contrary to what a lot of people think, that Ferrari probably had the 20th fastest car and just Lewis did his magic, which he doesn't do in 9 out of 10 races. But I think McLaren is going to be the fastest car. If it is wet, I think the gap is going to be even bigger. I think we've seen that as I don't know what wizardry they are doing, that they are faster in the wet because they're able to get their tires in the right window, and they are able to keep the tires in the working window for longer. Usually it's the opposite. If you are able to get the tires heated up perfectly, you tend to have a shorter stint. How they've done it, God knows, or Rob Marshall knows.
Cheating.
Yeah, cheating, of course.
Obviously,
It's something that they've done. I don't know how they're going to. I think it's probably going to be a McLaren dominant one if it rains. If it doesn't rain, I think we might have a McLaren, Red Bull, Ferrari, Mercedes thing. Yeah. By the way, your best race around here, which one would you call?
There was Vettel's brilliant overtake years ago. I'm trying to think what year it was. On
2018.
Was it on Kimi and
Which one are you talking about? I was talking about
We're probably talking about the same one.
Through goes Vettel or
Yeah.
whatever that was from.
Who was that on? Was it on Kimi and someone else?
No, it was on Lewis.
It was 2 drivers he overtook, no?
No.
What one am I thinking of then?
I
can't remember.
Yeah, even I can't.
Yeah, I can't remember. Yeah.
Yeah.
There's been a few memorable moments. Obviously, a recent one is George's podium in Williams for that qualifying lap.
Yeah.
Basically, he won in qualifying.
Max won in qualifying, which is hilarious.
Yeah. Obviously, you want to go way back. There's obviously as an Irishman, the Jordan race, 2003 was it? No, 1998.
No. The one that Hill was first and
Yes,
Ralph was
2001.
second, right?
My years on this are sketchy.
1998.
98 was it? Yeah.
The yellow Jordan, the Benson.
And
by the way, Benson and Hedges, by the way, cigarette brand. So we used to be, we were a different sport by then.
We had Benson, Camel, Marlboro,
everyone.
John Player.
BR is what? British American tobacco, right?
Yeah, it was it was British American Racing, but it was the British American Tobacco Company. Yeah. So, yeah.
I think for me, one of the better races, probably, if I had to go back, I'd say 2008 was fun.
Yeah.
Kimi,
you know what? This is another one of those tracks that's always pretty good for me to watch.
Yeah.
But I struggle to think of because I remember we had the same thing with what was it we were talking about? Was it the Italian Grand Prix where it was like we talked about this recently. I remember there was one race recently where we were both like, it's Japan, where we were like, I really love this track, but not much really stands out. It's like it generally, the race is generally pretty good, but it's like I can't. So both of us, I think, were like Kimi that season, and it was like. Yeah, and it was like, apart from that, we'd have to go back to the 90s with Senna and Prost.
Yeah.
It's like, So this is one of those tracks where it's like, I like the track, I wanted to stick around, but it doesn't really stick out as like really memorable moments. Verstappen fans, obviously 23 when he had a rocket ship and did what...
as well, by the way.
Yeah, and did what Hamilton did in 2021 Brazil, right?
Okay, so. you saw the back and forth between me and Backstreet.
Yeah.
So... in case people didn't know, I said that the Brazil 2021 race win from Lewis was not special. It ticked off both of them in a very, very different ways.
Yeah. But you could say the same like Verstappen coming from, what was it, 14th or 15th back.
I said the same thing. I said so.
It was like, It's like he's in the fastest car coming through midfielders. It's like
I knew he was going to win. That was how evident that was. So I didn't really find it special in any which way. But yeah.
So speaking of winners, what are we saying for this? Yeah.
Okay. Who gives a fuck about sprints? I'm not even going to talk about them.
Yeah, forget the sprint.
Yeah. Okay. The race. I think Oscar wins.
Mm-hmm.
I think Oscar has been probably a bit better than Lando here in general. So I'd give him that. I think it's if I'm talking about what's going to be the order and what I want the order to be, again, there are two different ones. I think the order that's going to be it's probably going to rain as well. So it's Oscar, Lando, and George. That's what I think is going to happen. Or maybe Max. One of the two, probably George. Then when it comes to what I hope happens, I'd love to see Leclerc, Lewis, Antonelli.
Okay. Yeah. Just completely,
Yeah. Just mix things up.
Well, I think, as I said, because Horner's gone now, everyone's going to just jump on it if they have a good weekend. So I'm going to say Max wins, because that's just going to be the ultimate, like, everyone like, oh, I told you it was Horner was the problem the whole time. It's like, all right, you just hang in there, buddy. Just
exactly.
You keep coping.
And a lot of people are actually starting to call me a Horner fan. And I'm like, have you seen my reactions when Alpine fired Otmar? It was pretty much the same, because I know when teams do fuckery, it never turns out well. And just look at Alpine right now.
There's a guy on my channel who keeps commenting that, like, I am running a Horner fan channel, basically. And I just keep...
you just did a video on Horner's entire...
Yeah. Because I did one on Vettel, and I was like, oh, well, who am I going to do for the next Car Heroes? And I was like, well, Horner's in the news. Like, that'll be an interesting one to look at. But I just keep replying with Dutch. Because his name is Dutch. Like, it's a very Dutch name. So just like Dutch, just to annoy him.
Could be.
Yeah, I think it's going to be maybe. It's going to be maybe. Yeah, could be the Congo. Dutch. Why did I say Dutch? Max. I'm going to say Max, Oscar, George, because Lando doesn't do particularly well around here in general. I don't think, if I remember correctly. He's okay.
2023, what did he do? It's been decent. It's not been great.
Yeah.
It's not been his better tracks.
And Oscar even last year was pretty good in a season where Lando was generally beating him. So I'm going to say Max, Oscar, George. So
cool. Let's see. Good.
Thanks, everybody.
We're done. Thanks, everyone. Yep. Thanks for watching. Click subscribe if you're new, or if you haven't already. Take the phone off your friends or whatever. Just hit subscribe from their phones as well.
If you're running a Chinese bot engagement farm, could you also help us out? Cheers.
Yeah.
Right.
DM him.
Not me. Thanks, everybody.
Take care. Right. Bye-bye. We'll see you next time.
Bye.